What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I am Guru951. Welcome aboard. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. Either way, thank you so incredibly much for the support that everyone has given to this point. It has been absolutely essential to trekking this very, very difficult world of articulation of ideas and creative endeavors. Ugh. I represent Recall Incorporated, home to the galaxy's best and most committed explorers and treasure hunters, among many, many other things. Down below in the video description, you can find the link to our Discord community. Feel free to pop in, say hello, come be part of the club. Let's get this ball rolling. Now, in the world of art, in this instance, at least for me, I find it incredibly challenging to articulate my ideas in the way that I really wish I could pull them off sometimes. And the reality is it takes a ton of time and effort. And quite honestly, time is always ticking, is it not? You know, so, but nonetheless, we have come this far. We are not giving up. If you are new to this quest, well, this episode is for you. This is going to be the first in a series of episodes, which will hopefully come to the conclusion of me just spilling my guts about everything I feel like I know about the quest, which I've been on for several years now. But let's get into it. What is the quest for Raxxla, right? What is that? Raxxla? What the hell's that? In 1984, in Cambridge, England, two friends created a company named Frontier Developments. Those two friends were David Braben and Michael Brooks. And they ultimately broke the video game code and managed to create the best of a simulation you could at the time, a very open world galaxy known as Elite. Along with the purchase of the game at the time, you were given a novella written by Robert Holdstock named The Dark Wheel. I covered that in episode 2. If you're a seasoned Raxxla hunter, you definitely know what I'm talking about with this book. It is linked in the video description below. I will try to link as many sources as I can, resources as I can, where I'm getting them from, you know, or the best example of what I'm trying to share with you. All right. 1984, the world's oldest 3D space simulator. They managed to create procedural generation, which many games use now. Elite was the first. And to cut it short, the important parts here: Cambridge, England, David Braben, Michael Brooks, Frontier Developments, and the world of Elite. Elite Dangerous, currently in Odyssey, is a much more realistic version than the 1984 version, the original. And it takes place in a 1-to-1 scale mock-up of the Milky Way galaxy. To the best of our knowledge, we cannot leave the Milky Way, but we can get all the way to the opposite end and back. Quite easy, I guess. It takes some time. And it is definitely its own challenge, but it can be done. And you can go high in the galaxy and low in the galaxy. And there are 400 billion star systems to be explored. Less than half of 1% had been explored last I checked. And I believe the estimate is nearly 46,000 years to actual years to discover every system in the game. So obviously it's never going to be done. It is a world of infinite possibilities, and it is a very open-ended personal experience that allows you and affords you a bunch of tools and activities to do, which seemingly are endless from day to day. You really just get to pick and choose what you want to do from day to day. Mining, pirating, bounty hunting, trade, hanging out with friends, racing things, going and exploring, studying alien life such as the Thargoids, this weird biological flower-shaped entities, which seemingly are the nemesis of mankind, some might say, who've really recently ramped up their efforts, quite honestly, which is kind of stunning to many people who make their careers out of killing and fighting these things. Then you have the Guardians. The Guardians are a supposedly extinct alien race with a very, very intriguing story, which has been the highlight of my focus in this quest. No one has, to date, that we know of, has found a Guardian or seen a Guardian, but we do find their ruins, some of their structures, their Guardian beacons, very strange pieces of technology that can be found out there, remnants of their race, which, like I said, is about 1 to 2 million years old, and had supposedly gone extinct. If I'm going to cut their story as short as possible, they lived very human-like cultural development, and they, over a period of time, after very, very long period of peace, they ended up developing an AI to fight the Thargoids, which they did successfully twice win them in wars. Remained undefeated to the best of our knowledge, but the Guardians turned basically against themselves through division and social hardships, and their AI made the decision to kill them to save their own butts, right? And there are things that might suggest that some of the Guardians may have integrated with this AI before their extinction, and then some might speculate, self-included, or hope, I should say, that some of the actual Guardian race did manage to escape and is out there somewhere. I mean, that seems pretty plausible to me, but it's not written anywhere that actually happened necessarily. So, you got to take it with a grain of salt, but I enjoy this grain of salt. Now, let's talk about Raxxla. What is Raxxla? Raxxla is the world's oldest video game mystery treasure hunt, whatever you might want to call it. And we don't really know what it is because nobody's ever seen it. There are many myths and rumors surrounding it. And if you're a seasoned Raxxla hunter, you know this. You know all these details. But for those who are new here, it is supposedly anything from a moon to a portal to a cosmic state of enlightenment. If you're new to Elite, check your ship's codex. It's in the panel on the right. And that will have a pretty decent little tidbit of information. Very well done. All the codex entries are very well done. But the one on Raxxla, very good. And it gives you a nice end to understanding what you're dealing with. So we don't really know what it is. We're told it's possibly obfuscated on the outer rim, according to very old lore. And there are theories anywhere that it's in our own solar system to, the other side of the galaxy. People, who knows? The theories are far and wide, I should say. Now, as for my personal approach to the quest, I personally use a lot of outside resources of information. I'm looking for stuff that's not necessarily found in the books, though I do and have studied a couple of the books pretty in depth. And I've done a couple videos about it, episode 1 and 2. If you're a returning subscriber, you probably seen these things, and I hope you have. But they both covered those two books, being The Alien World, a complete illustrated guide by Steven Eisler, and the Dark Will novella that came with your purchase of Elite in 1984, which was written by the late, great Robert Holdstock. And it turns out Steven Eisler and Robert Holdstock are actually the same exact person, just using different names. Robert Holdstock was using the pen name of Steven Eisler. In my mind, I'm trying to go backward in time from the originating point of either the rumors or the sources of information we have here in currently 2021. Not necessarily forward. And the reason behind that is that The official lore, and I put that into quotations, you understand. The official lore has really shifted from one main, author controlling the narrative to another, or something of that sort, at least twice, right? So this is something to consider. Now, in my mind, I'm like, personal take, I'm not too concerned with that, because I'm trying to go from the originating points of the first initial rumors of Raxxla, or whatever is in 2021, and go backwards in time to its source. I'm trying to find the source of this thing. I'm trying to get rid of the fluff, although you do kind of have to look forward a little bit sometimes. And a lot of times that does make sense. So I'm not going to totally rule it out. I'm not going to totally rule it out at all. But I'm trying to go back to the core, trying to figure out where the source of this thing, the seed, ultimately. And the shift in the narrative has not made that easy. Now, I personally am under the impression that history is not necessarily what they say it is, and that a lot of history is not written down at all in the narrative of the game or the lore of the game at all, and that it's for us to figure it out. I'm a firm believer that we are trying to uncover a hidden narrative. And through the uncovering of this hidden narrative, we will uncover what we are looking for. That it's up to the players to dig this up, so to speak. My personal take on it draws heavily into ancient cultures and ancient histories and mythologies, and I'm not the only one. There are many people doing this for good reason, because if you were to delve into the quest for Raxxla, you will find many intriguing uses of Greek mythology and Norse mythology and Arthurian legend. And myself, I will go all the way back to the Sumerian. Show me where it all started. That's the way I look at it. That's the magic of the world of Elite that I see, and it's just through my own personal lens. And I know I'm not alone at looking at the world in this way. I just appear to be a little more vocal than most, I think. And then it's largely based on Michael Brooks' mention on the DJTruthsayer live stream on Twitch, that, and I'm going to paraphrase it, I will link that video in the video description below. I encourage you to watch it if you haven't already. Whereas he is asked by DJTruthsayer, where is Raxxla, right? And he says, I'm paraphrasing, I can't tell you at this stage, but it's a journey everyone has to take for themselves. Now, I've personally took that very personal, because that just sounds like a fun time for one, and especially in a world where you're supposed to blaze your own trail, right? And that it's really kind of as far as I know, the only time a developer has answered a question like that, he answered it and didn't answer it, but it's a big statement. In my mind, it's a big statement, And so I've drawn a lot of my personal research on this talk of it being your own personal journey. Now, going into this, I was really drawn to the study of constellations. In the world of Elite, if you go to the galaxy map and you look at Sol, you will notice, and actually you can do that a few systems outside of Sol, but you'll notice that the constellations will show in the galactic map. And I've always wondered if this was maybe a map. Maybe there's a reason they put it there. What constellations are those? I want to say there are 13 of them. I want to say there are 13. To be honest, I haven't been able to identify all of them. There are, after all, 88 official constellations. If you don't know what a constellation is, they are a set of stars that apparently depict an image, and many of these can be traced back, their origins can be traced back into ancient times. Now, there are some that are not based on mythology at all. It's more just based on astronomy of a little more modern era. but many of them do have mythological tales, including Greek myth, all the way back to the Sumerian or the Babylonian charts, I should say, the most ancient star charts known to man, the Babylonian star charts. And they just were always very intriguing to me. The idea that I can look at a star in the night sky, such as Orion's Belt, for instance, or the Big Dipper, Ursa Major, and that I can go to those stars, most of them, not all of them, most of them. And that really drew me in. And that's been a huge focus, is the exploration of constellations. I just cannot get enough of them. And it is in my opinion that the narrative we are here to uncover is found within these stars and within the stories of those stars. And I look forward to explaining to you how that's done. One of the things I would definitely want to emphasize here is that I view the world largely through like a metaphorical lens. And I view this quest in the same kind of light. Metaphors, symbolisms, parables, analogies. These are just something that I really enjoy contemplating and thinking on. And it's kind of, in a sense, the way I view the world around me to a good degree. And so this always made sense to me. And why would that be important, right? Why can't it just be cut dry, to the point? Well, that takes the fun out of it, doesn't it? Riddles are riddles are the way they are for the reason of being a riddle. Who can solve it? And if you look at ancient times, ancient cultures, Greek mythology, Asian mythology, Polynesian mythology, world mythologies, globally, these ancient cultures, for these deeper secrets, spoke heavily in metaphor and symbolism and art. And it has been my goal to figure out if that applies, and then figuring out what it's saying. And so, unfortunately, this video series is aimed at being very cut and dry, which is really not in the spirit of that tradition, which is kind of, there's a sense of guilt to it in doing it so cut and dry. But I feel good about my abilities. I don't feel like I'm any better than the rest. And as I said before, I think I'm just a little more vocal than the most. And I think that's important to say here. And also that my aim is no longer vanity or fame, although that was definitely the initial spark. It's now really the desire to share ideas and to hopefully add to helping us all dig this treasure up. To give after I've taken so much from this quest. And I feel like I have experienced a lot from it. I hold this thing in a very high regard. It started out as this interesting video game experience, and it turned into something quite else. And I can't say it hasn't left an impact on me. And I don't think I'm alone on that. I know I'm not alone on that. But I do want to bring up a really important discussion and kind of a question to kind of probe you, the viewer, especially if you are a Raxxla hunter, but even if you're not, if this is totally foreign to you, I would love to hear your opinion on it. And that is about sharing. Sharing of ideas, sharing of things you feel you've found. Okay? Now, if I look at the Guardians, and I look at their story, by the way, if you haven't done Ramtah's missions involving the Guardians out of the MEENE system, MEENE system, out of Felice Dock, you get that mission. If you haven't done those missions, I highly suggest you do it. One of the things the logs mention when you do the missions, you go scan their obelisks and you go to their ruins and you uncover a bunch of data, and it gives you logs about their history, which is all documented and recorded, and you can find all these things online, and it's an extensive history that they have. One of the things it talked about was how they were hunters. And that it was the highest honor to be fed somebody else's kill, whether that was a part of a group, a tribe who had made the kill, which was considered very honorable to eat of that meat, for instance. But the highest honor was to eat the meat of a hunter's solo kill. Now, in my mind, I see this in the world of metaphor or symbolism. And we are hunters as treasure hunters and adventurers. Orion was the great hunter, at least according to the Greeks. And I've taken this hunting as a metaphor for treasure hunting, and those kills as a metaphor for my discoveries or your discoveries. And I've struggled with it for a very, very long time over whether this is supposed to be told in a very cut and dry way, or if it's supposed to be done through more of artistic, symbolic, metaphorical means, such as the Pink Floyd music videos that I've produced at this point. And I think it's just supposed to be cut and dry. And so that's what we're going to do. But I look forward to sharing things that I feel like I've personally discovered. Not without a little help along the way. Absolutely not. But as a disclaimer, enough. What I don't want to do is keep it for myself. This is a team effort. And after all, these really are just concepts. I cannot prove anything. But it is in the spirit of I felt what was being offered to us in the invitation from a friend within the player manual. That right there was promised to us. And it is also in the spirit of guardian tradition of sharing of knowledge. Now, what I'm trying to do is communicate right now to the guardians through art, just as I felt that they have done with us or have tried. This is their world, and I look forward to showing you exactly what I mean by that. But once again, the struggle to articulate, that is a beast. That is a fire. That is a fire burning inside. Oh. But I think it's time to get everything off my chest of all these ideas and stuff. I love to talk. I love to talk and discuss and to share ideas, man. Discussion is where it's at, baby. That's the number one god dang intoxicant on the planet. Discussion. Talk. Good stuff. And that's what I'm trying to bring to the table. With that being said, what is your opinion on it? What are some of the things you are willing to share? Are you willing to share? There's an old African proverb, and it goes, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. I look forward to us going very far together.